and welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Happy to welcome Alta Marshall and Cindy Bracken. They're from the Valley Quilt Guild. Good morning to both of you.
Thank you. Good morning to you, Susie.
First of all, I know you've got a very exciting project coming up, and we will get to that. But first, let's find out a little bit about the Valley Quilt Guild. Tell me a little bit about it. How often do you get together, and what do you do?
Well, we meet the third Wednesday of every month at the First United Church of Christ in New Philadelphia, Ohio. That's located right next to the Drug Mart store. And everyone is welcome, whether you're a beginner quilter or advanced quilter. We usually have a program and snacks and show and tell. It's fun to see everybody bring their quilts in. We get to share those with the group.
Now, what happens to these quilts that you work on? Are these some of those amazing quilts we see auctioned off at various places sometimes? Do you keep them? They get to adorn your own homes and beds and so forth?
Most of the time, they're made we give them away as gifts, things like that. But we do have several community projects because we are a nonprofit organization, so we do make things for different groups. Last year we had over 850 total items donated to different organizations.
Really?
Yes. Anything from, we donate to the Job and Family Services, Harbor House. We did a lot of veterans quilts. Valentine Project is a pillowcase project where we did almost 400 pillowcases for sick children. We do placemats for Meals on Wheels. So we're busy.
Oh my goodness! How many members are making these 800 quilts?
We have about 50 that attend regularly, plus there are some that don't come as often.
Tell me a little bit about it, because I think of a quilting bee, and I think of ladies back in the day sitting around and all working on one gigantic hoop together. How far off am I?
Well, we don't do any quilting there. We just come and have a program. It's usually someone from a shop locally or sometimes from far away that wants to show us something that's new in the field of quilting. Or the last one we had was a lady that sings songs and writes songs about quilters that are humorous and kind of heart-touching. Yeah. And then she brings about 50 quilts and has like a trunk show. So that we usually have a program. And then we have a little snack time where we can just have some social time together. And then anybody that's finished a quilt that wants to bring it and share with the group, we get to hold up our quilts and everybody oohs and ahs over them, and you feel pretty good.
I almost hesitate to ask, what's the general age range of quilters these days? Are we attracting young people into the world of quilting?
We'd like to, but we're a pretty seasoned group, let's put it that way.
Is it getting to be a lost art?
It kind of seems like it, but
we do have one gentleman in our group.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And he makes some of the best quilts.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we always heard that Rosie Greer or someone did needlepoint, so
Right.
So for the novice, how does one learn how? If they're not doing any quilting at Quilt Guild, how do you become a quilter if you'd like to be?
Well, we've got lots of really great quilters there, and if you come as a beginner, we have workshops on Saturdays sometimes, and different kinds of classes that, you learn different techniques and made bowls, and what else have we done at our workshops? Rag rugs.
Yes, rag rugs.
So you can always go to a workshop.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would be the easiest thing to start on? A rag rug, something like that? No, don't start there.
No, just
how would you start?
9-patch quilt. As a matter of fact, we used to have a lady who would teach a beginning quilt class, and it was just a simple 9-patch quilt. So
I can remember folding things a certain way, and they were pointed, and it would make a circle, and then you'd only tack them at one point and then put a hoop around them and then hang that on the wall. It was like a circle. That would be really, really, really the very, very beginning, yes?
Right.
How do you move on from there? I mean, there's different patterns like the Ohio Star, and tell me some others that I don't know about.
Well, one of our members owns the quilt shop in Dover, Ohio. And so they have a lot of classes and a lot of patterns and great fabric. And it's really kind of an individual thing. You have to pick what you like, because if you like it, you tend to keep at it, even if it gets hard sometimes. But everybody just At first, it's overwhelming.
Yes.
But then they tell you, pick a pattern that you like and then find the fabric that you like. And so after you've done a couple, it gets easier.
And you get hooked.
Yes. Yes.
You get hooked.
It does seem like something that would be very relaxing after it stopped being very frustrating. Is that a fair statement?
I think so, because sometimes, I feel like I can go downstairs and sew and relax. I can get frustrated at times, but it's still my time, my relaxing. And
if you do get stuck, there's always people in the guild that can help you. That's what's nice about the group. And you get to see different quilts, and it gives you different ideas, and you get excited. And I found quilt people, they're always looking ahead for the next project and the next fun thing. They're not, just because we're old, most people that are old sit around and talk about their aches and pains, but we talk about our next project.
Yes.
Oh, what next technique
That's healthy,
are we going to use?
isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
In fact, let me peel that back a little bit. I've heard or read somewhere that in communities where there is quilting, that you do not see depression in women or the guy that you see in other communities. Does that seem like a fair assessment? I know I've read it. There's got to be something it triggers in our brains that is healthy and mentally healthy.
As far as your brain, it can be good because you're thinking, and they say you got to keep your brain alive. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, putting puzzles together. Sometimes putting a quilt together can be like a puzzle.
And there's math involved.
Oh dear, you had me until there.
That's where the other guild members come in.
Okay, good. Do you use a sewing machine? Are these by hand? How do you quilt?
I put them together by machine, and then I usually take them to somebody else to actually quilt. But I have done one by hand, and that's probably the last one I'll do by hand.
So when you're talking about 800 quilts that you're able to give away to be auctioned and so forth in 1 year?
How old is Betty Lou? 90-something, and she makes more quilts than any of us to give away.
Like how many a year is she cranking out?
Well, she brings a couple every month, it seems like,
Wow.
to show. Yeah. And she's in the nursing home now because she fell and broke her leg. And she has the people in the nursing home now helping her cut out blocks and putting these pieces together.
She just keeps it going in her 90s. So this is something that we can continue throughout our lifetime. You could even start it maybe a little bit later and carry on.
Absolutely.
As far as Betty Lou goes, I just might add that our quilt guild has a quilt show every other year of our quilts, and we have a featured quilter. And this year it's going to be in October, and it is going to be Betty Lou is going to be our featured quilter.
Oh my goodness.
So,
and will she be there? Will we get to meet her?
She'll be there.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's talk more about that. You'll need to come back and remind us about that. October we'll be able to see actual Quilt Guild quilts and the featured quilts by someone in her 90s.
right.
And there's a boutique. There's items there you can buy. There's different shops come and set up a table, a booth, and sell their wares. And so it's very exciting for anyone that likes quilting or sewing.
Have the days of the quilting bee then, are those gone? Are those done?
As far as quilting bees, I know there's churches out in Sugar Creek area that they still get together as a group and sit around the hoops and quilt.
But for the most part, people are doing this on their own. You do this kind of like knitting at night or something like that. You quilt. The different patterns, I think, are what are amazing to me. I think I know of two, a log cabin and Ohio Star. Where do these come from? Are these handed down from generation to generation? And yet it sounds like we're still making up new ones.
Well, we have a quilt designer and a fabric designer for Moda right in Sugar Creek, Corey Yoder, who is designing quilts, and hers are more modern patterns. So they appeal to maybe younger people that want to do something a little more modern. But there's new quilt patterns all the time.
All the time. And yet we're still carrying on the ones that our great-great-great-grandmothers used to do as well. So how do we use quilts now? Is it still fashionable to have them on your beds, hang them on your walls, use them as a tablecloth? How else have I used quilts? Tell me how we use them.
I have one hanging on my wall going down into my basement. I have one on my bed. I have one on my walk when I walk into my house. Like I have a table with a quilt on there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Table runners. A lot of people don't
Sure.
want to do a big project, so you can quilt the table runner.
Sure.
So there's
All
all
right.
kinds of things. Purses. You can make purses.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I mean, it's endless what you can do really with quilting.
All right.
And now quilting is getting popular with wool pieces in it.
Oh.
A lot of people are doing the wool now, so that's kind of a new...
And kind of add a little bit of texture
bit,
and a little bit of funkiness. So that, yeah, just a little modern.
Sue Spargo from up in Akron, she designs a lot of embroidery stitches, beautiful things.
Well, and then we hear also what a great, and this is going to lead into what you've got up your sleeves, what a great way to memorialize something too. Sometimes you can take family members' T-shirts or favorite jeans or something like that and quilt them together and give them maybe as a wedding gift or a birthday gift or something like that. But that sounds like, help me to do the logistics on that. It sounds like keeping a lot of material around in places for a long, long time. How do you stay organized?
It makes
We
good
don't.
insulation.
Yeah,
Everybody has a stash. It's called a stash, a fabric stash, and some people probably are more organized than others.
And I think everybody has more than they'll need.
Yes.
Yeah, but then again, you're a guild. You can get together and
Right,
share
we
and
do.
pass things along. I love that idea. All right, there's something very, very special coming up this weekend. Tell me about it.
It's called the 9/11 Memorial Quilt Project. It was started in Arizona. A lady after 9/11 asked for people on the internet to send her a quilt block. She ended up getting 20,000 quilts or blocks, quilt blocks from 30 different countries. Unfortunately, she passed away in a couple years, but it did get finished there. She's the lady that has them now is in Michigan. She's bringing 300 quilts with her and some banners that will be displayed at the Dover Middle School.
So, do we know the total number of quilts that the original quilter made from these, representing all these different countries?
Bev might know more about that.
Okay,
than
we will
do.
find out because we're going to talk with Bev. But she's going to be bringing, say again, 300?
300.
I wanted to make sure I
quilts.
heard that correctly.
Yes.
300 quilts.
Yes.
And this is all part of the memorial, the 9/11 Memorial Project. I'm amazed, aren't you, that it's not just an American thing, that we heard from 30 different countries. People wanted to participate. What does that mean to you?
You know, after 9/11, the world was in shock, I think, and people wanted to help however they could, whatever they could do to help. We didn't know about it at the time. I would love to have known about it. I would have sent a block, but
When you think of something that would represent comfort and being comforting, what a wonderful image a quilt brings us. Well, we definitely want to be speaking with Bev, help me with her last name, Kuman, and she is now the guardian of this project, going to be bringing it. Tell us again when and where.
it's going to be at the Dover Middle School in Dover on June 21st, 22nd from 12 to 8, and on Sunday, June 23rd from 12 to 5.
Okay, any cost to attend?
It's free will donation. Bev works on donations, taking this where she can. It's all whatever she takes in and what we've been able to raise.
Well, we're going to find out much more. We're going to take a short break here and have Bev join us after these words. You're listening to Our Community.